Hey everybody, it's Andy Mills here. I'm back with some more news on Diablo 4. So just yesterday on 16 June, um, the general manager, game director, associate production director, and the community manager got together for a 2 hour chat, live stream, if you will, talking about the launch of Diablo 4 and amongst other things. But within that 2 hour chat, there's about a handful of things that were pretty much interesting and kind of related to like the development of the game and where it's going to go. So I took that knowledge and I took those points and I brought it into three sections right here, as you can see. The first section is going to be changes before season one launches, which is within 4 weeks because season one is expected to launch mid to late July. The next section would be coming in that first season that they've announced. Obviously, there's going to be more things to come, but this is just what they talked about or touched upon in that 2 hour chat. They're calling it CampFire Chat, whatever. And then the changes that are expected to come after season one, things that they're actively working on to probably have it in by then. All right, so starting off at the top, the one thing that they mentioned was Nightmare Dungeons. So the whole vision for Nightmare Dungeons is that that's how the game is going to allow you, or that's how the game is supposed to be played to level up and grind, to get once you're in tier 3 and tier 4 to level up your sigils or level up your Paragon Born runes and things like that, right? So they want to increase the XP that you generate in those dungeons, and also include increasing the elite spawns that are in there, because as it stands right now, people are spamming other dungeons that are not Nightmare Dungeons and abusing that, and they just go into specific dungeons, and then leave the dungeon when they clear, and then they go back in. Um, they've been they've been seeing that a lot in the community, and they kind of just want to get away from that because that's not how they want to balance the game. The next thing that they want to change with Nightmare Dungeons is that the sigils that you're using to spawn or generate a Nightmare Dungeon in your instance will now create waypoints to TP you straight to them or teleport you straight to them or relatively close. Another thing that people were concerned about, they didn't really explain if it's going to be put you right in front of the entrance or within like a 10-second walk to the entrance. They didn't really talk about that, but that was the big complaint too, or more of an incentive to actually do these Nightmare Dungeons. That is what they want the meta of the game to be in the late game. So that's pretty big. That's coming out pretty soon, within the next month, if you will. The next thing is that they touched upon adjustments to classes before this launch of season one, and I felt like that was a general thing that they mentioned, but if you've been playing since launch, you've noticed that really broken classes have been getting nerfed or adjusted, if you will, or buffed very slightly. Um, Things that you might have noticed were rogues got nerfed because of people posting clips and that getting viral, and then barbarians getting nerfed. Certain builds getting nerfed because of the same exact reason. The next person or the next class that I can foresee getting nerfed are the druids because they're so broken late game. I don't know if you guys seen these werebear builds or werewolf builds. Insanely broken. I've seen people doing like soloing world bosses, when they're like 80 something and the world boss is 90, and they're killing the world boss in like 2 minutes by themselves. Insane. So if you're a druid player, you can expect a nerf pretty soon. I would imagine. Next thing is that caches will no longer drop above your level. So if you have recently gone up to tier 3 or tier 4 and you did a world boss, and world bosses drop these caches, they will no longer drop above your level. So I'm gonna demonstrate this right here because I have two in my box right here that explain exactly what's happening. So I recently unlocked tier 4, and I'm still under level. I think I'm like 60. Yeah, I'm 64, and I go in to do world bosses and things like that to try to get better drops. But when I do that, I'm getting these legendary grand caches that are I can't even open for another 16 levels. So it's pretty it's pretty unbalanced and unfair to expect me to not open these for another 16 levels. So that's something that they're going to fix. And I think that kind of goes into the next thing, is that druids, I guess, is I don't have a druid character yet. That's the next character I'm going to be making, but I guess druids are having a lot of drop of uniques for other classes that nobody else is experiencing. I know that there is a very small chance that you might get loot for other classes, which is fine. That's normal. That's built into the game. But I guess druids have a higher percent chance for uniques for other classes to drop for them, which is kind of strange. But they said that that's a bug that they're going to be fixing, pretty quickly, obviously within the next month. All right, going on to what's coming in season 1. There's not going to be any more map fog when you start a new character. So to demonstrate that, what they mean is, so when I start a new character in season 1, because you will not be bringing your character that you have in pre-season into season 1, stuff like this, that's map fog. Now when I make my new character, say my map stays the same, like this is what I will be able to see on my new character. All this progression will transition between any character on your profile. So that's what that's talking to. All right. Another thing that's coming in season 1 are material caps will either be removed or increased. They didn't really specify. I think they were talking about increasing it, but somebody else also mentioned that there's really no reason to have a cap on materials, because a lot of people who are grinding past 100, they want to keep playing, right? But then they can't pick up any more resources, so it's like kind of it's not an incentive to play because they can't kind of generate anything else. So they want to remove that because there's really no reason. And then the last bit of changes that are going to come after season 1, which I think are pretty huge. Gems will move to the material tab. And what I mean by that is this. Look how much space gems are holding up, right? And I think they're going to be unlocking another tier. I think there's another tier after, like later in the game. I haven't made it that far, but I think there's another tier of each gem. So just think how much space that's going to take up. So they're going to remove the gems from this slot and put it into the materials stash over here. And it's probably going to have its own tab, and you'll have all the stuff listed out, which is way better than it taking up your chest or taking up your inventory when you're running around in the loot. It's gotten to the point where I'm not even picking them up when I'm in dungeons because I just have too many. Another thing, resistance balancing. At this point in the game, I feel like resistances don't matter. Like other action RPGs like PoE or Last Epoch or Grim Dawn, like if you stack resistances in those games, like you can actually notice it. But in this game, it doesn't really feel like resistances matter, so it's kind of like a throwaway stat. I don't know if you guys agree with that. Just let me know in the comments. And then the last thing that's more for hardcore players, they mentioned Scrolls of Escape. So like this is an item that you can have that they are trying to work it. That Scrolls of Escape will automatically be used upon disconnecting to avoid deaths, because some big streamer encountered this problem on their hardcore character. I think they were 100 or they were pretty close to 100. And it's specifically, streamer privilege of, you encountered a huge bug that probably one of 100 people are going to experience. So they're kind of just making that use case. So that's great if you, if you want to do a hardcore character later on, that they're trying to make bugs and they're listening to feedback on that. But that's it that they had from the CampFire Chat. Let me know if you have any thoughts on it, any comments, if you've seen any bugs or you agree with these changes that are coming out. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you so much, and hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll be making some more videos on Diablo 4. Bye.